Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Jorginho's agent gives an update on the midfielder's future. Jorginho's potential departure from Arsenal has been a subject of discussion in this transfer window, capturing the attention of multiple clubs interested in securing the midfielder's services. Despite his relatively recent arrival at Arsenal in January, Jorginho could find himself facing the possibility of leaving the Emirates Stadium once again, contingent upon his own interest. With Arsenal reinforcing their midfield, the competition for spots within the teams has intensified significantly. It's anticipated that certain players might lose their positions if they do not meet the required standards of performance. Jorginho is among those who could be affected by this heightened competition, prompting various clubs to express interest in acquiring him for their squads. Nonetheless, it's worth noting that Jorginho has affirmed his commitment to remaining at Arsenal. His agent has further confirmed that there are no intentions to pursue a departure from the club. His journalist said, as quoted by Fabrizio Romano, "I'm sure Jorginho will stay at Arsenal. He is happy in England. Let's move on. I had some calls from Saudi and also Spanish clubs like him, but he is staying at Arsenal. It's decided." Jorginho may have been at the club for just 6 months, but he is already one of our key squad players and one man we like to see in the group. The Brazilian Italian has shown he is experienced enough to influence matches for us, and we will need him in the Champions League this season. Pundit says he is gutted about what's happened to £25 million Arsenal player. Kieran Tierney's Arsenal career hasn't quite gone to plan over the past 12 months. When the Scot arrived at Arsenal, he was one of the most highly rated young defenders in Europe, and after a very promising start with the Gunners, he was earmarked by some as a future captain of the club. Sadly, after the arrivals of Alexander Zinchenko and Jurriën Timber, Tierney has fallen down the pecking order in North London, much to the annoyance of many fans. Indeed, Tierney is a crowd favourite at Arsenal, and one man who isn't too happy about what's happened with Tierney is Gregor Robertson. The former footballer has, of course, got a real affinity for Tierney due to his Scottish connection, and speaking on the Times, the Game Football podcast, the Pundit stated just how upset he is by Tierney's situation. Robertson said he was pained by the £25 million man situation. He said, "There is a lot of flexibility. Timber can play right or left. Tomiyasu is like a less technical version of him. They still have Kieran Tierney, who looks like he is way down the pecking order now, which really pains me. Ben White has a flexibility, so they have a lot of options at the back. It's a real shame that Tierney isn't currently one of the Premier League's best and most important players. At Celtic, he looked as though he had the world at his feet, but after injury problems and tactical reshuffles, he's fallen out of favour at Arsenal. Of course, there is every chance he wins his place back this season. After all, he is very talented, but at the moment, he is having to bide his time and wait for an opportunity. At any other Premier League club, Tierney would probably be one of the first names on the team sheet." Pundit says he'd be so annoyed if he was in £65 million Arsenal player's shoes. Kai Havertz has just signed for Arsenal for £65 million, and he is about to enter an exciting new stage of his career. Havertz joined the Gunners with the expectation of playing in a more advanced midfield role as the replacement for Granit Xhaka. But here we are at the first game of the season, and it looks as though he may have to play up front. By the way, while I am uploading this video, I saw the starting lineup and Eden Ketia will play as a striker. Indeed, after Gabriel Jesus' injury, Arsenal are light in attack, and it looks as though Havertz may be needed to play as a striker. This is far from an ideal scenario, and speaking on the Game Football podcast, Gregor Robertson has stated that he would genuinely be annoyed if he was Havertz right now. Robertson gave his verdict on Havertz's situation. He said, To me, Kai Havertz should be the guy making the pass, not making the run. I think that is the vision for him, but he is hamstrung by Arsenal's lack of options up front. If I was him, I would be miffed that his run in has been damaged a bit because Arsenal only have Nketiah behind Jesus, who you can't rely on. Arsenal have spent a lot of money, and Jesus is a transformative signing, but you can't rely on his fitness. It would be easy for Havertz to get annoyed about the current situation at Arsenal, but he has to remember that this is only temporary. Gabriel Jesus will be back before he knows it, and who knows, maybe Arsenal will even dip back into the transfer market and sign another striker. Havertz wasn't signed to play up front for the Gunners, and it won't be long before he is back playing in that midfield role he was earmarked for when he arrived. Havertz should still be on course to have a successful season. Mika Richards raves about £100,000 a week Arsenal player. Mika Richards has heaped praise on Arsenal striker Eden Nketiah ahead of their Premier League opener against Nottingham Forest today. The Gunners are back in action at lunchtime, and while you will first watch this video, the match will be in the second half, and the excitement around the Emirates is huge. All eyes will be on the new signings, Declan Rice, Kai Havertz, and Jurriën Timber. But Nketiah might steal the show if he starts up top, and he will start in this match. Richards raved about him on the Rest is Football podcast. Eden Nketiah has improved massively at Arsenal over the last 12 months. The Englishman looked set to leave the Gunners last year, but Mikel Arteta convinced him to stay and handed him a brand new £100,000 a week contract. Nketiah played quite a lot last season, but he impressed the most when he had to step up and take Gabriel Jesus' place after the Brazilian suffered a serious injury. Richards heaped praise on the 24-year-old and claimed he has a big future ahead of him, the Pundit said. With Arsenal, when Jesus got injured, they just became a different team. They weren't as potent in front of goal. Gary Lineker replied, Nketiah had a good run at it, didn't he, for a little while? Richards then said, yes, he had an amazing run, really good young player. I think he's got a really good future ahead of him. Arsenal will once again be without Gabriel Jesus for the game today, and Arteta now has chosen to play Eden Nketiah in his place. The Englishman started on the bench in the Community Shield last Sunday, but he had a real impact when he came on. He stretched Manchester City's backline and caused them real problems. An argument can't be made that he started today. However, Arteta has plenty of options right now. The Gunners boss can either go with Nketiah or just pick Kai Havertz, as he did at Wembley last week, and Leandro Trossard is a great option too, and he probably deserves a start after what he did against City, but sadly, he will be on the bench. It will be interesting to see what Arteta will do today, but we are sure that Nketiah will have an impact. It remains to be seen. Ian Wright reacts to transfer news out of Arsenal. Arsenal midfielder Charlie Patino will be plying his trade away from the Emirates Stadium this season. The 19-year-old Gunners talent has linked up with the championship outfit Swansea City on a season-long loan. Arsenal confirmed the news on Friday morning, with Patino set to spend a second campaign in a row in the second year. Last season, the Gunners' prodigy was with Blackpool, making 37 appearances, including 34 in the championship. Patino gave a good account of himself, registering 7 goals contributions in all competitions. Despite his solid efforts in Tangerine, the Arsenal gem was unable to save the Lancashire side from relegation last season. Football London had even backed Patino to become a long-term replacement for Granit Xhaka. However, since then, Xhaka has left, but Declan Rice and Kai Havertz have come in. With Patino no higher up the pecking order, Arsenal have decided to loan him out once again. Patino took to Instagram with a message in which he expressed his delight at linking up with the Swans. Numerous peers, including Arsenal legend Ian Wright, wished Patino well for the season. Patino is an outstanding prospect, arguably one of the most talented to come through the ranks at Arsenal in recent years. The Arsenal talent's spell at Blackpool last season was very promising. Now he gets the chance to build on that with another stunt at a championship side. Patino is still just 19 years of age, so he has his whole career ahead of him. and his ceiling is ridiculously high. Hopefully, he will enjoy an even better long stand this time and next season, potentially have a crack at the Arsenal first team. Michel Antonio says Arsenal have a player who is simply unbelievable. Declan Rice has signed for Arsenal this summer. The former West Ham man has headed to the Gunners for £105 million, and for that sort of fee, Arsenal will be hoping that Rice will make a massive impact at the club. Michel Antonio, Rice's former West Ham teammates, thinks that the midfielder will hit the ground running at his new club, stating that he is an unbelievable player who is one of the best defensive midfielder in the league. Antonio backed his former teammate on the Footballers Football podcast. He said, I think we will be fine. It's football at the end of the day. He was a good player, unbelievable player, probably one of the best defender midfielders in the league, like I have always said, but football isn't about one player, it's about 11 in the team banding together and working hard. He's gone now, and all we can do is move and fill that space with some quality players, and somebody else is going to have to step up and take his place. Antonio has backed tries to make this step up and adapt easily to life at Arsenal, but it may not be that simple for the midfielder. Indeed, as good as Rice has been for the Hammers, he's never played in a team like Mikel Arteta's. Yes, he has the fundamentals to be a star, but playing in a high-tempo, fluid possession-based team is completely different to anchoring a David Moyes side. Antonio thinks that Rice will shine at Arsenal, but it may not be as easy as some seem to think. Declan Rice says he's been blown away by £158,000 a week Arsenal man. Declan Rice says he has been blown away by Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta working with him over the last few weeks. One of the biggest reasons why Declan Rice chose to join Arsenal is Mikel Arteta. The £158,000 a week Gunners boss has improved almost every player who has worked under him. He is a magnificent manager, and his hard work at the Emirates has reunited the fan base. Arsenal came ever so close to winning the Premier League title last season. They will have another goddess campaign as well, and with Rice in the side and Arteta at the helm, they could do it. Speaking about his new manager, Rice admitted that Arteta has made him look at football in a completely different way. Eurosport, who are owned by the same company as TNT Sports, quote him saying in the last 4 weeks, I have grown so much already and learned so much about football that I hadn't seen before. I am honestly seeing the game in a completely different way already, tactically, on the ball, off the ball. I'm happy to know I'm learning so much because I'm trying to push myself to learn. Since the Community Shield, I feel I have taken a big step. Everything is starting to click. I was blown away by Arteta, and working with him day to day, it's just another level. Seeing how he works, how his mind operates, picking up stuff, seeing how he goes into the detail on the opposition, and how he wants to improve us as players individually and collectively is really impressive. It's just the finer details of what he goes into, so there are no excuses on match day. You can't say, we have not worked on this or that. You are given everything, and it's literally down to you to go and perform. The finer details you go into are on another level, and I have never seen that before. Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta has to be regarded as one of the best managers in the Premier League now. The Spaniard has worked wonders at the Emirates over the last 3.5 years. He has completely revolutionized the club and has made them serious title challengers. Manchester City will once again be the favourites to win the Premier League title this season, but if anyone can compete with them, it's Arsenal. Rice will definitely have a huge role to play, and if he lives up to all the hype, the Gunners' 2-decade-long title drought could come to an end. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.